Now, scene 2 of Act 2 is probably one of the more important scenes of the play, and this scene is actually known as the balcony scene because it's when Juliet comes out on her balcony, Romeo is below, he's watching her, and this is where the two confess their love for each other, they finally meet and have a proper conversation, and this is very important for the start of their relationship. So, Romeo enters and he says he jests at scars that never felt a wound. So he's talking about Mercutio, right? Jest. That means make fun of. So he's making fun of scars. He's making fun of Romeo's heartbreak, even though Mercutio has never felt heartbreak himself. So he's not happy with Mercutio. He's saying, you know what? He doesn't really understand what I'm going through, and he's making fun of me. I wish he would stop. But then Juliet appears in her bedroom window from above, and Romeo's like, whoa, but soft. Just chill out for a sec. What light is coming from that balcony? What light through yonder window breaks? One of the most famous Romeo and Juliet quotes, by the way, which means he is looking up at Juliet, she's walking into the balcony, and he's saying that, oh, all this light is coming from her. So he's comparing her to the sun. It is the east, that's where the sun rises, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who is already sick and pale with grief, that thou her maid art fair, more fair than she. So basically it's nighttime. He's comparing the ugly moon to Juliet, and he's saying, I don't want it to be night anymore, I want it to be daytime. Also, he could be referencing Rosaline here, saying, you know what, she's the moon, she's pale, she's envious, she's sick, she's nothing compared to you, right? Her maid not since so, but not her maid since she is envious, her vestal livery is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it. So he's basically saying, you know what, I'm done with this old love, I'm done with Rosaline, I'm done with the moon, I'm done with the night, give me Juliet, give me my son, give me my love. It is my lady, oh, it is my love, oh, that she knew she were. So he's saying, I wish that she knew I was in love with her. She speaks, yet she says nothing. What of that? It's because Romeo's a little bit too far away. Now he kind of creeps up closer so he can hear what she's saying. He's like, oh, you know what? She's talking. I want to answer it. And he's like, oh, that might be bold to just scream at her from the bushes in the middle of the night. Yeah, you think, Romeo? Kind of weird. So he's like, you know what? She's not. There's no way she's speaking to me. Um, there's no way she's even thinking of me. So I'm just going to keep it watching her from a distance. He says that she has two of the fairest stars, her eyes, in all of heaven. So she has the most beautiful eyes he's ever seen. And he's like getting a little bit more bold and bold and bold. And he's like, maybe I should talk to her. He says the brightness of her cheek would shame those stars as daylight doth a lamp. So he's saying that her eyes, her cheeks, her smile, everything's brighter than the heavens, brighter than the stars. So basically, he is comparing her to celestial objects, which is quite the comparison when you haven't even really met someone or gotten to know them so well. And then he talks about, so she leans on her cheek and she's like, oh, and he's like, oh man, I wish I could be a glove on that hand that touches her cheek, right? I just wish I could touch her. So he's being a little bit, maybe a little bit creepy, but it's meant to be pure, right? He's in love with her. It's supposed to be very sweet. And then Romeo in an aside, and an aside is when characters, multiple characters are still on stage, but then a character kind of moves to the side and has a private little bit of conversation. So Romeo and Juliet would both be on stage with each other. Back in the day, obviously, it wouldn't be that of a setting, right? So they would be probably pretty close to each other, and this would just indicate that Romeo is talking to himself. He says, speak again, bright angel. You were a winged messenger of heaven, right? Again, now she's an angel, so that's a step up. Basically, just keep saying how beautiful Juliet is. And now we finally get Juliet talking, and she says, oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? And now, important, this is another huge quotation for Romeo and Juliet, a famous one. Wherefore art thou Romeo does not say where are you Romeo. She's actually asking why are you Romeo? Okay, why are you called Romeo? Why does your name have to be a Montague? Why do you have to be my enemy? So she says, deny thy father and refuse thy name. So if you let go of the Montague name, if you drop the Montague name, I would be with you. She says, you know what, if you don't want to do that, then I will no longer be a Capulet. I will drop my name as long as we can be with each other and we can swear our love to each other. Romeo, in another aside here, says, shall I keep listening, or shall I speak to this? Shall I react to this? Shall I say something to her? And Juliet says, you know what? Tis but thy name that is my enemy. So now this is kind of Juliet's little time to think here. She says, you know what? You are yourself no matter what your name is, right? If you weren't a Montague, you'd still be Romeo, right? She says, what is even a Montague? It's not a hand, it's not a foot, it's not your arm, a face, or any other part belonging to a man. Wink, wink. She says, just I wish you were some other name, right? What is a name? A rose would still smell super sweet if it wasn't called a rose, right? If it was called a Bologna. If it was called something else, it would still smell so sweet, right? So she's saying, you know what? If Romeo was not called Romeo, he would still be perfect, right? I could still love him. There would be no difference, right? So you know what? Let's get rid of our names. Let's not be Romeo and Juliet. Let's not be a Capulet and a Montague. Let's just be each other's love. And Romeo, he finally has become bold enough, steps out, and he's like, I take you at your word. I am listening to what you were saying. You can call me love, and I will never be Romeo again. Juliet's basically like, again, this is the middle of the night, he's hiding in the bushes, and she's like, who is, like, listening to my private thoughts here? Like, who's creeping in the bushes? And Romeo's like, he's like, I don't know how to tell you who I am, because you literally just said you hated the name Romeo, so I don't want to say that I'm Romeo. He's like, you know what, if I told you my name, had I written it out, you would see it as an enemy's name, so I can't say my name. And Juliet's like, you know what? I haven't even heard 100 words from your tongue yet. My ears have not yet drunk 100 words of that tongue's uttering. Yet I know the sound. I know whose voice that is. You're Romeo, aren't you? And a Montague? And Romeo's like, you know what? I'm not Romeo or Montague. If you dislike those names, you can call me whatever you want. Juliet says, how did you get here? Like, there's a pretty big orchard wall here, and it's hard to climb, yet you're here. How? It's also a place of death, considering you're a Montague. If anybody finds you here, they're going to kill you, right? Like, you can't be here. And Romeo, this is where he gets a little bit funny, right? She's like, how did you get here? How did you pass the wall? And he's like, with love's light wings, I jumped over the wall. Nothing will limit me. Nothing can hold me out. And I don't care what your kinsmen do to me. They can try, they can dare, but they won't stop my love. Juliet's like, I'm pretty sure they will. Pretty sure they will kill you if they find you here. And Romeo's like, you know what? There's more peril in thine eye. Basically saying, you know what? If you reject me, there's more danger there, right? Like, yeah, it doesn't matter as long as I'm with you. So even 20 of their swords, I'm not scared of. As long as you look beautiful, you look sweet, I don't care. Juliet's like, well, I do. I would not want them to catch you or kill you. And then Romeo says, you know what? I have night's cloak to hide me from their eyes. They won't see me because it's nighttime. Therefore, let me love you. Let me find you. Let them find me here. I would be willing to die as long as I got your love. Okay. And then Juliet, once again, she's logical. She's a little bit more logical than Romeo at the start here. Again, she doesn't know if he loves her, right? So she's kind of protecting her feelings yet again. And then Juliet's like, okay, like, I'm going to ask you again, whose direction foundest thou out this place? So who gave you the directions to my place? Like, I'm still a little bit creeped out that you're hiding in my bushes and that you have found me here tonight. And then Romeo's like, you know what? Again, love prompted me to find you. He gave me counsel. He gave me advice. He gave me eyes to find you here. I am no pilot, not referring to a ship or airplane pilot, but talking about a ship pilot. He's like, but I went into the sea, I traveled the sea, I would travel the sea, I would travel the world, I would adventure for such merchandise if that merchandise ended up being you. So he's saying, I would travel the world as long as I could have you.